Hello friends, welcome. Friends, you all know that the telecom industry is currently at the point of inflection. Why? Because the moratorium period of 4 years is going to end on September 2025 and the payments are going to become due. Those who are following this telecom industry from the very beginning probably are aware of what I am speaking about. But those who do not have any clue, let me just summarize. I'll do it very fast so as to get a background. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand this video. See, Indian telecom industry has faced a lot of problems. The first problem that it has faced in on account of inflated auction price, and on the basis of that, it has accumulated dues. The other problem that the Indian telecom industry has faced is because of an adverse AGR judgment which went against the operator. Now, the AGR judgment actually was on account of a dispute between the telecom operators and the government on the definition of AGR. AGR is adjusted gross revenue. And this is the base on which the license fee and spectrum fee is calculated, on which the government actually gets payment from the telecom operators and for the licenses that it has given to them. Now, this definition was in dispute since 2000, at the time when the settlement took place between the telecom operator and the government, and they transitioned from fixed license regime to revenue share regime. And they were in dispute. The telecom operators kept on fighting, and in 2019 Supreme Court gave a judgment and saying nothing doing, the government definition is going to stand and you have to pay all the past dues including penalties and interest. Because of that, huge accumulated of debt got in their books, and that resulted in a large amount of interest payment obligation from all the telecom companies, especially Vodafone Idea and Bharti Airtel. Now, what happened was that government realized that it actually has committed a big mistake, and the whole industry is now have been shattered, because if operators, the weakest operators, goes out of business, then the consumer interest is going to get impacted, and international, the image of India is also going to get impacted, because it will appear that India is not an investment friendly country. So they tried to revive the situation, and they came out with a package, and as a part of the package they gave the operators a breather time of 4 years, which is called moratorium, and within that window period of time they don't have to pay any of their dues. Now the moratorium is going to end in September 2025. Within this period where the moratorium was given, the situation did not revive to the expectation of the government. So now the crisis is really going to get in the face, and we have to face this crisis together. And that is the reason why I am doing this video. In this video, I am going to quantify the numbers so that you can see what kind of implications that the government is going to face, right? And what kind of packages that the government can announce for the telecom industry, or especially for Vodafone Idea, to bail Vodafone Idea out of this situation. That's the whole idea about this video. We are going to talk about numbers here. We are not going to do any conjecture, and we are going to just talk about what the financial implications are and what options the government has before it to revive the situation further, or at least push the problem to the next financial year. That's the whole idea of this video. So friends, what I did was I actually wrote an article on this subject. This article is with the title Vodafone Idea Debt Crisis. Can GOI's banded fix prevent a telecom collapse? That's the whole idea. Now, in this article, I actually have dealt with numbers, and I have calculated the numbers so that the viewers are aware of the financial implications on Vodafone Idea and what kind of company structure that finally is going to emanate if there is going to be some kind of equity restructuring of Vodafone Idea. That is the purpose of this article, from this article. So, since this article is full of numbers, somebody who has no clue might be finding it very difficult to go through this article, and therefore I am doing this video to explain this article. Now, this article has a very important table. See, the whole article is anchored around this table, and if you understand this table, you understand the full article. Let's go column by column. So the first column is pretty simple. We have serial number. Second column is what? All the debt outstanding, which are mapped to various events. Spectrum auction 2012, Spectrum auction 2014, Spectrum auction 2015, blah, blah. Everything is there right in front of you. You can pause the video and have a look, right? And these are all related to Vodafone Idea. Now, these columns that you see here has been captured from Vodafone Idea's annual statement. If you go to the annual statement, you can check these numbers, right? Now, this number actually has grown over a period of time. In some of the line items have grown, some of the line items have remained static, right? Which I don't know why. Because the interest calculation which the government did as a part of the package which was announced here by the PIB press release here, if you see here, this is the press release which the government came out with 15th of September. The cabinet approves a major telecom sector relief, and here the whole liquidity problems of the operators have been addressed in this paragraph. You see here, this is the paragraph in which you can read through. I have already embedded a link here in this article. Here is the link. You can click this link and you can go to the press release and read this press release. Now, in this press release, what the government did, they initially calculated certain interest, which is to the tune of 16,000 crores, and converted that into equity. And because of that, government is now holding certain equity in Vodafone Idea. And then within the same press release, the government actually said one more thing. Let me show you, which is very, very important. Point number 4, which the government says that at the option of the government to convert the due amount pertaining to the said deferred payment by way of equity at the end of the moratorium period and at the deferred period, guidelines for which will be finalized by the Ministry of Finance, which means that not only the interest was converted to equity, but this press release has an option for the government to convert the principal also. And that is the reason this video is important, because you will understand what the implications would be if the principal also get converted. How much equity the government will end up holding, right? So that you can very easily understand. Let's go step by step. Now, having understood this particular portion of the table, which if you look at the current financial year, 31st March 2025, though the numbers are not out, I have just extrapolated these outstanding numbers based on the previous trend. That's all I've done. So these numbers have been laid out in this column, and which gives me a total debt of 2.1 lakh crores and a total debt under the moratorium of 1.9 lakh crores. Right? Simple. So you can see that. Now you can see there is a column 8 which says that how many installments these debts have to be paid. So these numbers have been listed out, and these are all part of the account, the annual statement of Vodafone Idea. And when is the payment date due? This is here in this column 9. And what are the interest, right, which will be applicable to these debt which are listed down in this column, right? This column, which each and every individual row has got a separate column depending upon which line item this is mapped to. So these interest rates are all captured here. And then we have the installments which have been calculated based on the outstanding principal here in this column, and the column number 11 where I have calculated the installment. Now, in order to calculate the installment, I have used a formula which I had derived in one of my articles. So if you are interested, those who are actually interested in all this kind of mechanics to understand how these are done, you can go to this article which is there in my website, VI the Roadhead. I can paste a link of this article in the description. There is a formula here, and I have already derived this formula based on certain equation. So this formula is what? Just let me explain. This formula is very simple. This is the yearly installment. This is the principal D. This is the rate of interest R multiplied by R. And then we have got another term which is 1 plus R to the power M plus N. M is basically moratorium period. N is the number of installment. And divide the whole thing by 1 plus R to the power N, which is the number of installment minus 1. Simple. So that's how I have calculated these installments. Now you will see that there are two columns, column 11 as column 12. Why there are two columns? The column 11 is basically for a normal year. Normal year is what? After the moratorium year, which is this year, from FY 25-26. The next year is going to be the normal year. You can see the normal year, the payment is 40,000 crores, and in the moratorium period year, the payment is only 28.8k crores, means 20,894 crores. Why? Because there are certain line items or debt items which are not due for this year payment. For example, if you see 3, 4 and 5, and that's why these are all coming in year FY 26-27. That's why this number is low. So I think you are probably aware of you are with me till now, right? There is one more important thing to understand, which is this line, this particular value and this particular value. Why these are important to understand? Because this is I am going to use later to do some more calculation. This is the weighted average years, because what I've done is, because I know the number of installment here in this column, I know the value of the principal outstanding. I can do a sum product and I can calculate the weighted average of the number of installment, because that is going to be useful later when I do this. The estimation as to how much equity the government has to hold, and then the weighted average interest has been calculated similarly. Okay, so that is this table. So you are with me till now, right? Now let's go to the restructuring option which the government of India has, because as you know that the outflow this year will be to the tune of 28.8k crores of Vodafone Idea if no restructuring is done and the government follows the moratorium, follows the relief package in letter and spirit. If they don't give any kind of a further relaxation to Vodafone Idea in form of converting the principals into equity or doing some kind of jugglery with the AGR dues, which is there in the public domain. As you see that if you look at this article, which is there, Telecom industry pushes for AGR relief. So that is what the government of India is thinking, to give some relaxation on, or maybe waive the interest and penalty of the AGR dues, which I don't know whether it is going to happen, because I don't want to speculate. So let's go with the facts. The facts are right in front of you. So let's go in this table. This is the next table, which is very, very important. So what is this table? This table tells us that how much equity the government of India holds in Vodafone, which is 22.6% and 16.13 billion shares, and the rest, which I have not detailed out, which is 55.24 billion shares and 77.4%. So from where did I get this data? This data is available here, shareholding pattern. So if you go to this link and then go to here and click here, you will go to this page, and in this page, if you go down below, you will see that central government shareholding is here. You see here? So let me just zoom in a bit. You can see central government share. This is 26.6%. So if you know 26.6%, then you can very easily calculate what is the total number of shares available in the company. So that's how I have calculated this. Now, this table is very, very important. As I told you that I have calculated the weighted average interest and the weighted average years. I have calculated that. This is going to become very useful. Why it is going to get useful is because when I do the outstanding debt calculation and the yearly installment calculation, I cannot use the individual interest rates and the time in the number of installment. Right? I have to take an aggregated number, and this aggregated number would be the number of the total debt in case there is zero amount of conversion took place, which is the installment for a normal year of 40,000 something, which we have already seen here, 40,225, right? Now, if the government converts 20,000 crores of rupees into equity, then what happens? At face value of rupees 10, the government is going to take 20 billion shares. Now, this 20 billion shares is going to change the equity structure of the DOT's holding to 39.54%. And how it is going to happen, what kind of method that I have used, you can go to the Excel sheet. I'll show you how it can be done. So let me just take this page, go to the shareholding holding, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little bit of zooming in so that you can see how this calculation is done, so that there is no confusion. So it's very simple. If you see the current holding, let me just take my face out of this picture, and you see the equation, the calculation. It is nothing but this, right? Which is D12, which is 0 plus D4, that is this, right? And then what you're doing, you're dividing by this plus again D12, this, right? Because these are going to be, if let's say Vodafone Idea was where to be issued share, right? If there was some value here, this has to be added to this, right? This has to be added to this, right? So this will become the denominator, and then this will get added to the DOT share, and that is going to give us the percentage holding. If it is 0, then it is going to be 22.6% same. Now, if it's going to be 20 billion more share, then this number is going to change to 39.54. If it is going to be 40 billion more share, because 40,000 crores at face value of rupees 10, this is going to become 50% or more. You are with me, right? And accordingly, these outstanding numbers are going to change, and then yearly installment has to be calculated based on the formula which I told you, that we have to take the weighted interest and the weighted average interest and the weighted average years or number of installment, right? So you are with me. Now let's get back. Now you will see here that the GOI stake currently is 22.6%, and it can go up to maximum 80%, right? If it takes if it converts 2 lakh crores of debt into equity, right? Which you can see that it's progressing. If you see, it will. Let me just take my pen. I did not take my pen. Show toolbar. Let me take my pen. Just a minute. Give me a second. Yeah, here it is. So if you see here that it progressively goes down, right? The yearly installment progressively goes down, and the DOT's holding progressively goes up, right? So no, DOT will not like to hold more than 50%, because it is going to give a very bad kind of situation as far as the company is concerned, because then DOT will become a majority shareholder. So what is that they are going to do to immediately manage the crisis? This paragraph is pretty important. Now, if you look at what the Government of India is doing here, the Government of India is expected, just a minute, let me take my pen again, show screen toolbar. Yeah, I think that it went something wrong, something happened. So here if you see, Government of India is expected to tackle the Vodafone Idea debt crisis with an immediate focus on managing the substantial outflow of 2026, which is this. Because next year we'll deal with the situation later, because we are only concerned about 28,894, right? This is the immediate problem. So how do you do that? Now this is, so of the 28,894 crores, you will find that 16,428 crores, which is 57%, is the AGR due, right? Can you see that? 57% is the AGR due. Let's go here and you see 57% is AGR due, because AGR due is here. This one. AGR judgment dues are here. So here is the AGR judgment dues. So this is 57% of this. That is why this headline which you saw, that's why the maximum push on AGR, because the AGR numbers are the highest. And that is why the Government of India is focusing all their energy on AGR, because if they are able to reduce this AGR dues, this 16,424, which is 57%, then they can take less equity and still manage the situation, and they will be within 50%. So if you look at this, what I have written here, if the GOI waives 50,000 crores of AGR dues, currently how much is the AGR dues? Right here in the table you can see, it is 75,946. Now, if 50,000 crores from this is waived off, then what are the implications which I have written here in this para? So it says that if GOI waives 50,000 crores of AGR due, VI's outstanding debt of FY26 will decline to 1.63 lakh crores, bringing down its payment from 28,894 crores to 17,874 crores, a 40% reduction in the outflow in FY26. To further alleviate the financial strain, another 7,000 crores, GOI could implement a 35,000 crores of equity conversion of the principal, ensuring that its stakes remain below 50%. So how did I come to the conclusion that they should do 30,000? Because if you see the table, it is 0, 20,000 crores, then 40,000 crores. When you cross 40,000 crores at rupees 10 rupees per share, it goes above 50. So if you do 30, less than 40, something around 30, then you are going to be below 50%, and by doing so you will be able to save another 7,000 crores, and that is going to basically bail Vodafone Idea out of the situation, and it outflow can now be reduced to just 10,000 crores for the financial year FY26. That's the whole story here. Now you understand what the... So by adopting this phased approach, the GOI can mitigate the immediate crisis by limiting its financial exposure, effectively postponing the border restructuring challenge to the next fiscal year. That's why I called this a band-aid fix. This is why it's called band-aid fix, to prevent a telecom collapse. The problem is shifted to the next financial year. Okay. So what is the conclusion? the conclusion is that the problem will get resolved somehow this fiscal year, and that is why if you see the non-telecom portion, the non-telecom tax, the non-tax revenue, the other telecom service portion of the non-tax revenue has been kept so low. The government did not, raise it too high compared to what I have already explained in one of my video. I think that within this 10,000 crore rupees, government can play around, right? And maybe Bharti may be very less. I don't know Bharti how much. I'm not focused on Bharti. I'm just focusing on Vodafone Idea right now. So if Vodafone Idea's outflow is only 10,000 crores in this fiscal, then what happens is, then Vodafone may be able to manage it. I don't know still whether it will be able to manage it. Maybe it will be able to manage it and it will be able to keep itself afloat, right? And we will manage this situation. The rest of the dues which is going to fall in the next fiscal year, which will be minus the amount of equity conversion on principal which the government will do, which is explained in this table. The rest of the debt will get managed in the next 5 years. Maybe at that time Vodafone shares are going to increase. Then the conversion may not happen in rupees 10. It may be in rupees 15, 20. Who knows, right? So that's how the problem will get managed. And I hope that you have understood this whole. If you want a detailed explanation or detailed understanding, and you have to memorize or register each and every number, which probably you could not have done in this video, go to this article. This is free. I have given it free to everybody, so that you can go and read this article and understand what is the current situation. And if I have committed any mistake in these numbers, let me know. I'll correct it. Thank you for your time. I'll come back to next time with a new video on a new topic. Thank you very much.